Hi guys, I'm back for another Football Heaven 24/7 episode. Been a while, it's been nearly a week. Um, well, basically, obviously, I'm just going to do a review of the weekend's action from Friday last week through to today, which is Monday. Um, Obviously, there's a huge game on in the Premier League tonight. Well, if you're trying to escape relegation, there is anyway, and unfortunately, my lads Forest are. They're up against Leicester City. Leicester City, they've had a really poor start to the season. I can't believe how badly they've played. They've got absolutely smashed by some teams. Brighton, they got smashed by, and they got smashed by Tottenham as well. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a throg in my throat. But basically, they're up against Forest. Forest, we haven't done, we've done bad against Bournemouth and Fulham. I expected us to get something against those teams. Took the lead in both games. One game we were 1-0 up against Fulham, and the other game we were 2-0 up against Bournemouth. And then we let in 3 goals. Now, I said at that time, after the first one against, I believe, Bournemouth, when we were 2-0 up at half time, I said, we need faster defenders on younger defenders, or just defenders that are more experienced in the Premier League. And he didn't change it for the next game. Well, I actually said that in the Tottenham game. He never changed it. And obviously, we saw what happened. The players get tired in the second half. They can't handle the pace of the players. Fulham had a good attacking team. I've had a good attacking team so far this season, apart from on Saturday, which we saw Fulham unravel a little bit. They lost 4-1 at home to Newcastle. Deco David Reed scored for them, but it was just a consolation after Shalabar got sent off for Fulham. Goals from Callum Wilson, 2 from Almiron, and 1 from Longstaff. Now, Grealish joked at the end of last season when Manchester City won the league that Mahrez he felt like he was going to be like Almiron if left on the bench and all this. Now Almiron's starting to prove that he's a decent player. Do you know what I mean? And the irony is there for all to see. So anyway, Almiron's probably having a better season so far than Grealish, to be honest, as far as goals and contribution. But anyway, we're looking to the rest of the games. As I say, Forest are playing Leicester tonight. My prediction is 2-2. A lot of people might disagree with that. A lot of people online, there's some people are saying 3-1 to Leicester and Leicester to win in general, but which I kind of get because they're the more experienced team. But I think both teams are fighting for it. Both teams have got to try and get out of the bottom 3. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll be possible tonight for Forest, even with the most optimistic view that I've got, 2-2. I can't see us winning. Although we have got quite a good record there over the last few years, but that's mainly in championship competition. So, yeah, 2-2 I'm going for tonight, again, away at Leicester. Looking at the other games from the weekend, Bournemouth had a boring 0-0 draw with Brentford. Tottenham won the North London derby 3-1 thanks to goals from Partey, an absolute screamer from about 35 yards out. Gabriel Jesus got on the score sheet again. Granit Xhaka scored again for Arsenal as well. Harry Kane got his customary goal, but it wasn't enough. And Arsenal, like I say, won 3-1. Palace lost out after taking the lead through Edouard on the 7th minute. Aubameyang scored his first goal for Chelsea after coming back to London from Barcelona. And Conor Gallagher, who was on loan at Crystal Palace last year, he didn't celebrate, but he scored an absolute screamer on the 91st minute to win the game for Chelsea 2-1. So Chelsea get on winning ways. It was the first league game under their new manager, and he's had a fantastic start, to be fair. Well, he hasn't had a fantastic start. He drew 1-0 with Salzburg, but they got a 2-1 win away at Palace anyway, so that's good for them. Liverpool come unstuck again. Leandro Trossard scored a hat-trick. 2 goals back from Firmino, had a good game, to be fair. And then gone from Webster meant that Brighton got a great point at Liverpool, drawing 3-3. Excuse me. And then Southampton, they lost 2-1 to Everton, having taken the lead from having equalised through Joe Aribo after Conor Cody had scored. Dwight McNeil scored. So 2 of the new boys for Everton got on the score sheet at the weekend. West Ham finally got their first home win of the season, beating Wolves 2-0. Goals from Skamaka, the new guy, playing up front because Antonio had been on duty, international duty, further afield with Jamaica. He started the game and scored a beautiful volley. Jared Bowen scored a great goal as well to help West Ham to a 2-0 win. So that moved West Ham a little bit away from out of the relegation area. They're now up to, I believe, 16th in the table. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's how the Premier League games went on Saturday. Looking at the top of the leading goal scorers. Oh, actually, I didn't do the two games from yesterday. Manchester City, Manchester United, crazy derby. I watched it on TV. It was a great game. Manchester City won 6-3, which is flipping Roy the Rovers sort of stuff. Crazy, crazy scoreline. Haaland got a hat-trick and so did Phil Foden. Martial come on late in the day in the second half of Man United and got 2 goals back. They also had another goal from Anthony who did all right to bring it back to 4-1, but then Man City went up to 6-1 and like I say, Martial's goals were only consolation ones. But, I mean, a tiny bit of pride for Man United fans, but not much. They were 6-1 down at one point, so, yeah, they got absolutely smashed, really. But that still keeps Manchester City in second, though. They're not top because, like I say, Arsenal won 3-1 at the weekend. Arsenal are still top by 1 point over Manchester City at the top of the table, and Tottenham are still up there with Brighton. Chelsea are in 5th, so good start to the season. Because of those 3 goals yesterday, Haaland is miles ahead of Harry Kane. Harry Kane's in 2nd place with 7 goals, but Haaland's an absolute beast at the moment. He's got 14 goals, and they've only played 8 games. He's had 14 goals in 8 games, so he's just, to be honest, I think he's going to beat Alan Shearer's record. I believe the record for the Premier League is 32 or 34 in a season to be the top goal scorer. And I can see Haaland smashing that, probably with several games to spare towards the end of the season if he doesn't get injured. So, yeah, great start for Arsenal and Manchester City. You expected it of Manchester City. Arsenal's young players are coming through now. It's looking really, really good for them. I hope Arsenal can win the league, but if I'm honest, I'm looking at longevity of the whole of the season. I think, like most people predicted, Manchester City are going to win this league, and I definitely still agree with that. But anyway, we're going to jump into the Championship. In the Championship, Blackburn were up against Millwall, and after a little bit of a falter, they got back on track. Goals from Dolan and Brereton helped them get on their way, put them 2-0 up. Millwall got a goal back from Cooper, but that moves Blackburn into the playoff places, and they lie in 6th at the moment. So they've had a good start to the season still. Norwich won 1-0 away from Blackpool. They keep up their good run. But because of Sheffield United drawing against Birmingham, Sheffield United are still at the top by a point. McBurney scored his 5th goal in 6 games, but Deeney got an equaliser for Sheffield United against Birmingham. And that meant a 1-1 draw. So a bit of a shot there. Birmingham getting a good point. But because of, like I say, Norwich winning 1-0 at Blackpool, that still keeps Norwich in contention with Sheffield United. So QPR continued their great start to the season after a bit of a falter. Johansson scored and Tyler Roberts got a goal for QPR. That put them 2-0 up. Naki Wells got a goal back on the 61st minute. It looked like Bristol City might get something, but QPR get a good away win there, 2-1. That keeps QPR in the playoffs in 5th position at the moment as well. Burnley is still in the playoffs, even though they conceded a late goal to Callum Robinson, his first goal for Cardiff City after his transfer from West Bromwich Albion. Nathaniel Teller had opened the goal scoring, but Callum Robinson got a goal in the 90th minute to get Cardiff a good point. But as I say, Burnley lying in 4th position in the table because of that point. So also Coventry City now playing back at home on their ground after their pitch finally getting sorted out. Kokera scored the winning goal against Middlesbrough. It hasn't been confirmed yet, I don't think, but I don't think it's long before Chris Wilder gets sacked at Middlesbrough. They've had a really poor start to the season. 11 games in and they're in the relegation zone along with Huddersfield and Coventry. But Coventry get their first win of the season. They're not quite doing what I predicted, which was to be up in the playoff areas. But it's early days. I mean, Forest were down near this end of the table last season and we know where we ended up in the playoffs. So anything's possible. Sometimes a team from the relegation area after 10, 11 games of the Championship season ends up putting a run together and getting in the playoffs. But we'll see. There might be some twists and turns and some shocks along the way. Reading continue their great start to the season. They're lying in 3rd, thanks to goals from McIntyre, Nichols' own goal from and Meite scored as well for, or Maite, whatever you want to call him, for Reading. Lee's got a consolation, but Reading won that game 3-1 against Huddersfield, so that keeps them in third, as I say. Wigan continue their impressive start to the season. They won 2-0 away to Rotherham. Goals from Keane and Naylor even. Sunderland drew 0-0 against Preston. Swansea had a great game away at West Brom. I would say that Steve Bruce is probably going to get sacked soon as well, or if he hasn't been sacked already. They were 2-1 ahead at one point in the game, thanks to Livermore and Grady Diangana, but goals from Nightsham and a goal on the 89th minute from Obafemi gave Swansea a famous comeback win there to win 3-2. So, yeah, that's a good game for them. Also, on the Friday night game, Hull lost 2-0 through an own goal through one of their own defenders, Jones, and a goal from Henry Lansbury. Luton continue their good run up the table. They're just outside the playoffs now because of that. As I say, top of the Championship, you've got Sheffield United at the top with 24 points. In second, it's Norwich with 23 points. You've got Reading, Burnley, QPR and Blackburn all in the playoff places. Just outside after smashing Stoke City 4-0 away is Watford, with so they're lying in 7th now. So, yeah, things are looking tight up there. No surprise with the teams that are up the top. Obviously, Sheffield United and Norwich. Top goal scorer in the league is still Estupiñán for Hull City, and Sargent's in second with 6 goals. So, yeah, so it's starting to take shape after 11 to 10 games there, mainly 11 for a lot of the teams. We're going to nip into League One now. League One, Accrington Stanley were at home to Morecambe. They won 3-1. Goals from Coyle, Hamilton and Lee. I won't do all the goal scorers in League One because it'll take flipping ages. But yeah, they won 3-1. Bolton had a great 2-0 victory over Lincoln City, which keeps them in the playoffs in League One. Burton Albion got their second win of the season, winning 3-2 after being 2-1 down against Forest Green at home. A hat-trick from Obajayo, or whatever his name is, I can't pronounce it. Cambridge United was playing at home to Derby. Derby won 2-0. 2 goals from Collins. Paul Warne on his first league game, taking over Derby from having been at Rotherham. Although I can't understand. I mean, I know Derby are a bigger team as far as supporters, but he could have done something special with Rotherham, perhaps even getting him, well, it'd be a bit of a miracle, but getting him to win the playoffs might not have happened, but anyway, so that was his first game in charge of Derby. Charlton's drew 1-1 with Oxford United. Cheltenham beat Shrewsbury Town 2-0. Exeter drew 2-2 with Bristol Rovers. My mate Graham was at that game. He goes all around the country. He's a good lad. You need to follow him. He's on Facebook if you want to follow his. He does an Essex Counties review, plus he does some league stuff as well. But he goes all over the place. He's a bit of a legend when it comes to all that stuff. Fleetwood lost 1-0 in the night, thanks to a 90th minute goal from Barnsley player Aitchison. Barnsley won that 1-0. In the top of the table clash, or near the top of the table, it was Ipswich against Portsmouth. After a topsy-turvy game, Ipswich came out on top with a 3-2 victory. Peterborough won 3-2 away at MK Dons, or Franchise FC, as one of the lads on the Scunthorpe United podcast calls him. Port Vale lost 1-0 against Sheffield Wednesday, and Wickham lost 1-0 against Plymouth, who continue their great start to the season. And there, Plymouth are still top of the table by 1 point over Ipswich Town. In the playoffs, it's Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth, Barnsley and Bolton Wanderers. Relegation zone in League One, you've got Bristol Rovers, Forest Green Rovers and Burton Albion and Morecambe. So that's how the season's going at the moment. Johnson Clark Harrison is still top for Peterborough with 8 goals as the top goal scorer. Going into League Two, excuse me. League Two, AFC Wimbledon came from 1-0 behind against Colchester United at home. 2 goals from Josh Davidson and to help them to win that one 2-1. Carlisle drew 0-0 with Crewe Alexander. Crawley lost 2-1 at home to Stevenage. Gillingham won 1-0 against Sutton United. Harrogate Town lost 2-1 to Bradford City. Leyton Orient finally lost their first game of the season, losing 2-1 against Newport County. Rochdale lost 2-1 at home to Doncaster Rovers, who are on a bit of a good run at the moment. Salford drew 1-0 with Grimsby Town. Stockport drew 1-0 with Walsall. Swindon Town lost 2-1 at home to Northampton Town. And Tranmere beat Barrow 1-0. On the Friday night game in the League 2 even, Mansfield drew 2-2 with Hartlepool. So a good point for Hartlepool, but they're still down in the relegation area. So yeah, at the top of League 2, got Leyton Orient still top, Northampton in second, Stevenage in third. In the playoff places, you've got Bradford City, Salford City, Barrow and Mansfield Town. Top goal scorer for that league is still Hoskins at the top for Northampton with 11 goals. So that's how they all stand, all the tables stand. And that was all the results from the weekend's action. As I say, Forest are playing against Leicester City tonight. I'm going to do a preview of the week ahead's games, do some score predictions as well in another episode. But for now, I've been Jamie Carter. This is Football Heaven 24/7. Have a great week, whoever you support. And stay tuned for the next episode. All the best. Bye for now.